Hello everyone, Warrior of Darkness here, and today I want to do a little something different. I'm not going to provide you a mod video today. Actually, I am going to be probably going to be doing that sometime in the next few days. But I want to talk about Dawntrail. And before you leave, before you're like, hey, I know, we know, we've talked about Dawntrail. I've seen a million videos on it. This is not about the story itself, or at least not in full. Just hear me out. So I recently rewatched the Dawntrail trailer, and it actually makes me even more angry about it now. Dawntrail's story turned out kind of bad, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I want to talk about how the trailer straight up lies to you, and it's the only trailer for any expansion for Final Fantasy XIV that actually lies to you. Every single trailer, every single thing we saw in the trailer of Dawntrail, aside from the Galul Jaja fight, and what's her name? Cryo becoming a Pictomancer, was unashamedly and bold-faced a lie. Like, nothing in the Dawntrail trailer, like nothing was like advertised or delivered to us as it was said. And it's the first expansion that's given us almost nothing that the trailer promised. No other expansion has gaslit us as hard as the Dawntrail trailer, and I want to talk about that because I want to talk about all of the other trailers that that we've seen so far for the expansions, and I want to talk about what they promise and the things that they deliver, because it's almost night and day when comparing them to Dawntrail. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, Editing Dork here. I just need to cut in to clarify two things. The first thing, the original recording for this video was done in one take. And the reason for that is because I wanted to capture the feelings I was feeling in the moment when I was making my analysis. So what you'll notice is a lot of and ah and stuttering, and it's just because I was in the moment. I had written an actual outline. It's on Twitter. It's whatever. I just took my Twitter post and I basically went from that, but I didn't script anything. I wrote those Twitter posts thinking about the trailers after watching them again, and so that analysis, or all of the analysis of this video, is based on that. Second thing, I don't think it needs to be said for anybody watching in my audience, but I will say it because some people are not smart and some people are very much stupid. Because this video is going to be going over the expansion trailers and everything that was promised in the expansion trailers, and everything that was delivered in each expansion based on the trailer, there are going to be spoilers for every single expansion in the game. If you have not finished up to Dawntrail, or if you want to avoid spoilers for any particular expansion, you should probably not watch this video. You should probably go do something else. Go finish your expansions and finish the game. Get through all of that, and then come back to this video. You will come back, right? Just make sure I trust you. Make sure you come back. If you're gonna leave, make sure you come back. I'll be waiting. So that's it. So Aroma Reborn's trailer starts off with showing the Calamity, and the trailer. It's actually kind of interesting because the Aroma Reborn trailer is two trailers at once. It's simultaneously the end of Final Fantasy XIV trailer and then the beginning of the Final Fantasy XIV Aroma Reborn trailer. It focuses heavily on the Calamity. In fact, most of its runtime is the Calamity. I actually watched this. I ended up watching this one like twice because I really love the Aroma Reborn one. It's my second favorite one, and we'll get into my favorite one a little later. So Aroma Reborn focuses on the Calamity most of all, the battle at Cartano or whatever, and then at the, we already know the Calamity is a large part of the story of Aroma Reborn, and the aftermath of the Calamity is a huge deal, and this huge part is what drives the story of Aroma Reborn. So there's that. The latter part of it is showing the Warrior of Light being brought back to Eorzea and starting a grand new adventure. You see things like, you see the scions. You're introduced to some of the scions that you'll be meeting, and you're introduced to the grand companies. They show that, and they show some of the threats you'll be facing in A Realm Reborn. Like Odin is one of them. They show the Midgard Summer coiled around the ship in Mordona, the Crystal Tower, stuff like that. So all of that's in A Realm Reborn, and that's delivered to us in the expansion. We meet the scions. We deal with the aftermath of the calamity multiple times because you'll see people who are downtrodden from the effects of the calamity, people who are in moralizing the people they lost, and just generally it's about where do we go after such a calamity has hit, and what's going on now that it's over. So there's that. And that's A Realm Reborn. And its trailers, the trailer is long. It's the longest one because, like I said, it's two trailers and a trench coat, basically. Then in Heavensward, starting off, we show the Warrior of Light, traversing a blizzard during which we're shown glimpses of the tragedy that led them running away and ending up in Kurthis in the first place. Because we quickly find out, if you played through A Realm Reborn, that this is Kurthis they're in, because it's the only snowy place in the game at the time. But, so then you end up showing Ishgard, you end up seeing Ishgard, and when the Warrior of Light gets into Ishgard, actually before that, let's roll back. The glimpses that were shown of the things that were shown things like Raban getting his arm cut off. Well, we don't show him getting his arm. I don't think it showed him getting his arm cut off. I'm going to the clip is going to be here. The part of the trailer where it shows Raban is going to be in here. So I will correct the record in text if that is the case and they show his arm getting cut off, which I doubt they did. But it shows that moment, shows when Alphinaud and them were taken hostage, stuff like that. The part where the Crystal Braves turned on us, and it shows all that. The Sultana falling dead from drinking that poison wine, or whatever. And they've changed A Realm Reborn quite a bit since I last played through it, so I might have to go through it again. But I'm recounting I've been playing for a long time, so I'm recounting the story the way I remember it from before they revamped the story is what I'm doing right now. I have to go back and do a new game plus so I can remember so I can see all the fresh new stuff, but we're not there yet. We're not there right now. We're doing this. So we see Raban, that moment where he was fighting against Teleji, Laurito gets shown, stuff like that. And then when the Warrior of Light makes it to Ishgard, we're immediately shown glimpses of the Dragon Song War. We're not even glimpses. We're shown a window into what it's like, the Dragon Song War, with soldiers fighting, the city, not the city, but the bridge leading into Ishgard burning, stuff like that. And we see a lot of that stuff because that's the main focus of that's one of the main focuses of the expansion. The other thing that they show us, which is usually not talked about when we talk about the trailer for Heavensward, or when we talk about Heavensward in general, is the political intrigue and the divide and disparity between the poor and high-born class. Because you see in the trailer, you see like soldiers sitting with their heads down or whatever, and you'll see children, high-born children running around, having the time of their lives. So you get to see sort of like the disparity, which is another thing that is very central to Heavensward. You get the low-born class, people in the broom, people who live miserly, and people who are poor. You see them living in the expansion, not in the trailer. I mean, you do see it in the trailer just a little bit. In the trailer, in the expansion, you see that divide there, and in the expansion in particular, you get to see that fleshed out, and you get to see how that affects Ishgard in its politics and their fight against the dragons in the Dragon Song War. So you don't get just the Dragon Song War; you get how the politics you saw in the trailer affect the Dragon Song War. And you even get to see Lolarito basically taking over the what are they called in brass blades. You get to see the brass blades come in and kneel to him, and that sort of was a thing. It was actually, the funny thing is that actually doesn't show up until later. I don't think in the expansion. I think that's after like the actual. It is. It's after the actual main Heaven's Word expansion. So that's in there. But even still, even the brass blades bowing to Lolarito, we already saw glimpses of that in A Realm Reborn, because we know the brass blades basically serve the Syndicate, and he's one of the high-ranking members of the Syndicate. And Teleji being killed is what put him in place for doing that in the first place, taking over completely. Hello everyone, Editing Dork in here again. I just wanted to say, I can already hear some of you saying, some of the Dawntrail defenders saying, oh, well, Heaven's Ward showed some post-expansion stuff in their trailer, you just need to give Dawntrail a chance. No, and there's a reason for that. We'll get into it a little bit later. I'll pop back in again when we get to the Dawntrail analysis, and I'll tell you exactly why Heaven's Ward gets a pass and Dawntrail doesn't. So just bear in mind, when we get to Dawntrail, let's see, how far are we in? We are about 9 minutes in. A little over 9 minutes in. When we get to the Dawntrail section at the end, I will tell you exactly why I'm giving Heaven's Ward a pass and I'm not giving Dawntrail a pass. You'll see. Promise. So you have that. And you also get to see some of the Sky Pirate stuff with the, flying around in the Sea of Clouds, stuff like that. The expansion delivers on that, on all of that, to be honest, because, you do get to, start the Sky Pirate, journey there after, the main expansion. You fight Nidhogg. That's shown in the expansion. Fighting with Nidhogg a little. I said in the expansion. In the trailer, you fight. They show the Warrior of Light going toe to toe with Nidhogg, and then the Dragoons coming in and saving his bacon. It's not really what happened, but the Dragoon in question is Estinian, and Estinian was rather helpful during that time. Of course, he was a central character. I don't think they showed the Asians. I remember watching this trailer twice, and I don't think I saw any glimpse of the Asians. I could be wrong, but they basically were showing you how the Dragon Song War went down. I've talked about Heaven's War for a bit. All of that's in the trailer. That's all I'm going to say. Stormblood, it shows Leaf and the Warrior of Light sparring and, on ground level, there's soldiers prepping their equipment for battle. It's alluding to the long-standing war between the Alamegan resistance and the Garlean military. In Kugane, it shows Garlean soldiers pursuing the Warrior of Light while citizens just, carry on. In my mind, this part probably looks like, in my head, it was signaling that the people of Kugane were not really resisting the Garleans, because, it looked like Garlean soldiers running around in the city was just like a normal thing. Garlean soldiers are pursuing a guy, and everybody's just like, oh, well, okay, whatever, that's a thing that's happening. So, and also, that happens in the expansion, too. The Garlean soldiers pursuing us through the city. That happens when a certain Namazu that I would love to turn into a fish fry sells us out to the Garlean Empire. And you get that amazing scene with Lys. Whoo, I love that scene. Anyway, you guys know. If you're still here and you played through the expansion, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about, where she basically kicks him into the air, grabs him, and it's amazing. I love that scene. Mostly because I hate him. But anyway. That part happens in the expansion too. So, again, I think this is in contrast. And it's not really something you think about watching the trailer one time, but I've watched it multiple times by this point. The expansion shows a contrast between how the Alamegans deal with the Empire and how Kugane deals with the Empire. And Even though this creates pacing issues in the actual expansion, it is delivered upon in the expansion because you do get to see, the as far as the Garlean soldiers are the Kugan, the people of Hingashi are not fighting back. It's pretty much it. The only people who are actually fighting back at the point that we arrive is the shinobi, and they're not really fighting in the open because, well, they can't. But the Alamegans are fighting. They're actively fighting, giving up hundreds of lives just to fight this war. And so you really get to see that. The Stormblood trailer is not the strongest one, I'll admit. I did like it for its spectacle. It's not the strongest one, but it, like I said, it shows you everything everything that's in the expansion is there. I mean, everything's in the trailer is there in the expansion. So, moving on, in Shadowbringers, which is the one I was alluding to as my favorite. I love the Shadowbringers trailer. I love everything it stood for. It still brings a tear to my eye watching it even now. It starts with the battle against Xenos that happened near the end of Stormblood, where we passed out and Astidian had to save us. It shows us defeating Xenos, which, I mean, we didn't, but this expansion is more about. This expansion's trailer is more about Shadowbringers. That is one element that's from Shadowbringers trailer that's not in actual Shadowbringers. We didn't technically defeat Xenos, so there's that. I mean, it wasn't even Xenos. It was an Ascian in Xenos' body. We didn't technically defeat him. It was a Litibus. I said an Ascian, like I didn't know who it was. It's a Litibus in Xenos' body, so, I mean, we didn't technically defeat him, but we did have a fight against him. And I suppose that, now that I'm thinking about it, I suppose that may have been from Graha's vision of the future, of his future, where he defeats Xenos, and then where the Warrior of Light defeats Xenos, and then they end up dying to Black Rose or whatever. I really love this trailer. So we shift over to an unfamiliar place with an unnaturally bright sky. A struggle against the light, the decadent and complacent lifestyle of Yulmore, the morbid underbelly of Yulmore, and the prominent, unnatural, and eerie light in the sky. All features that heavily alluding to light being the enemy. It's confirmed. Well, in the story, that's exactly what happens. We are fighting off against creatures of light, the Sin Eaters, and the battle, while it's not exactly the battle we fought to clear the night sky, the battle that they fight in, the battle the Warrior of Light is fighting in the trailer, is from that same dungeon, where we end up returning light to Lakeland. Yeah, see, I remembered that. Lakeland. I don't know why I drew a blank on that. We were, that dungeon, Homeminster Switch, is where we restore light to Lakeland, and so I'll give it a pass on that. That battle did happen in that place, and we did, at that point, in that place, restore light to the entire region, which, sure. Obviously, they didn't want to spoil a dungeon boss, or the final dungeon boss, so I guess that's why they did that. That particular model of enemy we'd already seen before, so it's not like they were revealing anything new. The one they used in the trailer, I mean. So it's a fight that the Warrior of Light's not winning. Then they become a Dark Knight, turning into the Warrior of Darkness, like literally. And, they tear through the veil of light and restore night as, the Warrior of Darkness. I love this trailer. I mean, 10 out of 10, no notes. I'm biased, I know. I'm biased because I'm a Dark Knight main. I love it. It's so good. I fucking love that Dark Knight was the poster job for this fucking expansion. It's amazing. I love Shadowbringers. 10 out of 10, no notes. The stakes were real. I'm sorry. We got to see, in fact, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to stop glazing and I'm going to actually reel it in. Even in the shots of the Crystarium, We did get to see the Crystarium. We got to see a little bit, and in the trailer, it's like a bustling hub of sorts for all the adventurers and other trades, and that's what it is in the expansion. They show us Dancer. They show us something that doesn't really get talked about a lot, and it's when it sweeps up, you get to see the unnaturally bright sky that I mentioned earlier. And the reason I mention this and the reason it's significant is because you get to see that no matter where you are, even in your safest place in this expansion, you are contending with the enemy. And that is true. That is true because the light is hanging over us all the time, or at least it is until we clear Hominster Switch. But even after that, at Fort Job and in Lakeland as a whole, you end up getting attacked by the Yulmorans, and it's just like, and the Sin Eaters, and it's just, you're not safe anywhere. And it very much, in my mind, I guess, maybe I'm analyzing it a little too much, but in my mind, that light that they showed, because they went out of their way to show us that light. They swept up and then they went up to the Crystarium, but you see the light and it's just like, then they go into the Crystarium when you could have just gone into the Crystal Tower. When you could just gone into the Crystal Tower, panned up, and then shown Graha and did whatever. And to me, that's a significant thing that they went out of their way to show us. But whatever. You get the feeling that everything that's in the trailer is shown, and it's a significant thing that's in the expansion.
Until our friend returns, I will hold the line.
I'm not going anywhere. I promise you, Minfilia.
Even the decadence and laziness of Yulmore, when you get there, they're like reveling. They're celebrating. They're a place where if you get in, you're in the know. You're in the good. You're in good, and it's like, it's Yulmore. It's a place of decadence and avarice. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna move on to Endwalker because I could talk about Shadowbringers all day. I love Shadowbringers. It's my favorite expansion. Like I said. If the Shadowbringers stakes felt real, but they also felt extremely personal. Like I'm just gonna say this one last thing with the Primals and with the Dragon Song War and with the war in the wars in Kugane and Alamigo, it didn't feel personal. It was like, yeah, we're doing these things, we're fighting these fights, but we're always fighting for other people. But in Shadowbringers, it's like, oh, we're fighting for ourselves because Graha told us as the Exarch told us, yeah, you're gonna die in my future, so we gotta fix this. And so there's it felt personal to us, our character, not just to some nation because we're fighting them because we don't want these other people to die. It's very personal for us. Anyway, Endwalker, I don't even know what to say. We got everything we were promised with this one. It's a journey to the moon, a hopeless fight against apocalyptic creatures, a world-ending threat, the hubris of the Forum, and the true end of the Ascian Saga. Literally every beat and more in this trailer was explored. By the time we got to, I want to say, level 85, we were pretty much done with every beat except for all the monsters attacking Razad Han, which was a little further in, but closer to Vanaspati. But we were done by the time we got to level 87. Everything that was in the trailer, we already saw. We got to see, Thancred and Uniange doing their investigation. All that. We got to see Estinian and Vricha fighting in Razad Han. We went to the moon. We beat Zodiark, which wasn't a thing we were shown in the trailer, but we were shown a lot in the Endwalker trailer, and we saw pretty much all of it, including Charlayan and the Forum. We even saw Graha looking in the forbidden part of the library, and that was a major point too, because we ended up getting suspended from activities in Charlian for a time because of that. And it's just like they showed us everything they could without spoiling too much. They didn't show us Zodiac, obviously, because why would they do that? They didn't show us Elpis, obviously, because why would they do that? They didn't show us the Ichthyoscope, because obviously, why would they do that? They didn't show us Ultima Thule, because obviously, why would they do that? But they showed us as much as they could with this trailer. In fact, we even saw some of Garlemald. We even saw the state of Garlemald. We saw Xenos sitting on top of the tower, watching Garlean's ships fall as everything crumbled around him and his nation. He didn't give a shit, but like we got to see all of it. We got to see all of that. Endwalker really did not disappoint as far as this trailer. And like I said, Shadowbringers is my favorite trailer, but as far as the honesty of a trailer, Endwalker was there. Endwalker had all of it. They did not lie to us at all in this trailer. And so that brings us to Dawntrail. And Dawntrail's trailer, let me tell you, it lies a lot. The very beginning of the trailer, it makes it seem like it's just blue skies and vacation time. Like, that is what it feels like in the, like, you in fact, you get that sweeping shot over the water until they show, the Square Enix logo, obligatory Square Enix logo. And then it shows us fighting Galul Jaja at some point, which they made that seem like it was going to be a way bigger part of the story, which he was not. His trial and his right of secession that he set up, it was a big part of the story, regrettably, but he himself was not a big part of the story. They also showed us the Scions doing their various relaxing things, like Alizé fruit, she's going through the city, that shot that made Rainier bust a nut. Then we got to see, Thancred talking to them girls, and then the Nutkin. We saw Ishtola doing her thing, reading. We saw Graha eating a taco, and we saw Urianger enjoying a drink. All this, blah blah blah. None of that is actually in the expansion. It's in the end credits. That part is in the end credits. It's insane how much they lied to us. Like, it's unreal. They lied to us so much in this expansion. They were like, oh, everyone's having a summer vacation. You're having an adventure. They showed us Estinian traveling across the northern continent, but they never let us see it in the actual expansion. So that's a lie. He did do all that. No, he did do all that. It's not a lie that he did that. Maybe, but they didn't show us any of that in the expansion. We didn't get any of that in the expansion. And it's like everything they showed us, except for the fight with Galul Jaja and Krylo becoming a Pygnomancer, all of that is a lie. None of it is real. It's really sad to see, because they had an opportunity to give us something like truly great with the trailer. The way the trailer was set up, if they had followed what was going on in the trailer, it would have been nice, because it felt like everyone was having a good time, and then everyone was having this summer vacation, and the Warrior of Light is fighting some threat while they're having a vacation, but also a part of the adventure. We had a perfect setup with Emmett Selk and Endwalker telling us all the different places to go. The Golden City, which, oh my god, that was wasted. We got there and we were like, this place is beautiful. Let's shut it the fuck down. Like, are you, like, deadass? I wish we explored the moral and logistic implications of a place like Living Memory, but we didn't. And it was a waste. It was a waste. It was honestly a waste. They showed us, like, it's unreal. I'm losing myself right now, because it felt like everyone was going on their adventures, at least the very least the Warrior of Light and Estinian were going on their adventures, their respective adventures, unhindered by responsibility. It felt like Estinian was just doing whatever, and he happened upon a challenging fight, which, he loves that shit. And the Warrior of Light found their challenging thing. They were fighting a two-headed Mamulja, which turned out to be Galul Jaja, who was a nothing burger. And then nothing else. And it's like, why did you even show us this shit if none of this was in the expansion? Like I said, like 60%, like 60 to 70% of the expansion's trailer was just It was just in credit scenes. Like, why did we throw all of that away? I don't understand. I know. I feel like I've rambled on for too long, and I've held you guys here for a minute. Editing Dork showing up one last time, and I think it's about time, because I don't know if I made it clear enough in my explanation, why I'm giving the pass to Heavensward for showing us post expansion content in the trailer, but I'm not giving Dawntrail the same courtesy. And the reason for that is that there's nothing left in the trailer for Dawntrail to show us. We've already seen all of it. The Galul Jaja fight, Cryo being Pictomancer, all that. We've already seen that. And then the vacation stuff that they look like they were promising us was stuffed in the end credit scene. Graha eating a taco, even though he actually gets knocked down before he gets to take a bite. Thancred and Urianger chilling with drinks. Well, in the trailer, Thancred is talking to girls, and Urianger is watching, is looking at him with the drink. But that's in the end credit scene. Alize receiving the fruit, that's in the end credit scene. There's nothing else for them to show us. And that's why I said I'm not giving Dawntrail the pass, but I gave the pass to Heavensward, because they actually had something to deliver on after the expansion was over, after the actual expansion was over into the patches. So that's why. That's why I said Dawntrail doesn't get the same pass, because by this same time in Heavensward cycle, they still had stuff that they could give us. So after the expansion, they still had more in the trailer they could show us, but we've already seen everything in the trailer for Dawntrail. So that's it. I'll get back to the rest of the video. In conclusion, Dawntrail is a bad expansion, but we already knew that. That's not the conclusion. The conclusion is that Dawntrail's trailer is a bad trailer. And the reason it's a bad trailer is because it doesn't deliver, the expansion that the trailer is for doesn't deliver on any of the promises any of the things we were promised in the expansion. It's all fluff. It's all just a nothing burger. And I don't understand why they had to do this. It's crazy because the trailer feels like a different story. And it feels like they had a different story they wanted to tell, but they didn't tell it for, I don't know. I can't even speculate. It feels like something that was hastily changed at the last second, but I can't prove that, so I'm not going to say it. I used to be a writer. I was never professional, but I used to do character writing and storyboarding stuff for, I'm not going to say, but I used to do that. And it feels like they rearranged everything after they had already started. Because like some of the stuff that was in there, some of the stuff that was in the expansion looked like it was going somewhere, and then they cut it off because they had to do something else or wanted to do something else for some reason. I've seen that happen before, where you'll have a story, and after the story's already written and you've already started animating and you've already started doing stuff, the higher ups will switch it up for some reason, and you end up with something totally unrecognizable. And I don't know why. I don't know what happened at Square Enix. I don't know what they did over there or what happened, but it feels like they just rearranged everything at the last minute. But I don't know. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. I'm going to work on this video for the Dark Knight mod that I still have out, or still have coming up, and possibly start working on updates for older premium mods. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Aside from the Herald series, I want to move away from premium mod stuff. So aside from the Herald series, because those take way too long for me to just put those out for whatever. I'll have the Dark Knight mod out probably tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow. And I mean, as of the time of this video going live, not, from the time I'm recording this, which is May 28th, 2025. But I'm going to try and have those out, the Dark Knight mod, and I still have the Herald of Frost and Flame coming up, and I still need to finish the video for Yokai Slayer, which it's just a matter of getting somebody to go into a dungeon with me and stand in one spot. that shouldn't be too hard. And that's it. I don't have anything else. I will catch you guys later. See ya.